Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. It's February 23, 2024, and it is Friday, and it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Although we already experienced our white cloud sky show, it was an otherwise beautiful blue sky day. How's everybody doing? This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. Well, we've got a very serious topic, an article that I received via email about directed energy weapons. Commonly used terminology is DEW, D-E-W. And I'm going to read this article to you. Before I do, please hit the thumbs up. Helps the channel grow, get the message out there, and please feel free to share this information. People need to understand what directed energy weapons are and how they're utilized. According to the DoD, the Department of Defense's Joint Publication 3-13, Electronic Warfare Directed Energy, DE, is described as and its umbrella term, covering technologies that produce a beam of concentrated electromagnetic energy or atomic or subatomic particles. A DE weapon is a system using DE primarily as a direct means to disable, damage, or destroy adversary equipment, facilities, and personnel. DE warfare is military action involving the use of DE weapons, devices, and countermeasures to either cause direct damage or destruction of adversary equipment, facilities, and personnel, or to determine, exploit, reduce, or prevent hostile use of the electromagnetic spectrum, EMS, through damage, destruction, and disruption. DE weapons include high-energy lasers, high-power radio frequency or microwave devices, and charged or neutral particle beam weapons. Microwaves and lasers are both part of the electromagnetic spectrum, which includes light energy and radio waves. The distinction between them is the wavelength and frequency of the energy. While they're both part of the electromagnetic spectrum, laser and microwave weapons operate very differently and have very different effects. Think of the difference between a laser pointer and a flashlight. A laser light is coherent in a single color, and the flashlight is a broad spectrum light. Because of its coherence, laser light can stay concentrated for very long distances, even thousands of miles into space. But with laser weapons, instead of thinking in terms of a laser pointer, the mental image should be more like a powerful, long-range blowtorch. Oh, see, now that makes a lot of sense when you look at my trees and they appear to be burnt or scorched. That would make sense. Laser weapons. Don't think of a laser pointer. The mental image should be more like a powerful, long-range blowtorch. Lasers can be categorized as gas, solid state, or hybrid of the two. The lasers on the current path to weaponization include solid state combined fiber and crystal slab, as well as hybrid lasers. Fiber lasers and lasers in which the active medium being used is an optical fiber that has been doped in rare elements, often erbium, E-R-B-I-U-M. Slab lasers represent one class of high-power solid-state lasers in which the laser crystal has the form of a slab. Hybrid lasers, such as a diode-pumped alkali laser, use a combination of trace gas with semiconductor diode arrays, or even high power and efficiency. And excuse the hum in the background. You know, the criminals, they have destroyed the fan in my laptop. You know, they're destroying it one by one. It's called the slow kill process. The destructive power of directed energy weapons, their lethality, derives from the amount of energy transferred to the target over time. Talk about slow kill. This concentrated energy can have effects across the entire spectrum from non-lethal to lethal. For example, lasers can cut through steel, aluminum, and many other materials in a matter of seconds. They can be very effective in causing pressurized vessels to explode, such as a missile propellant and oxidizer tanks. They can destroy, degrade, or blind many other systems that contain sensors and electronics. For high-energy lasers, lethality depends on the power output of the laser, the purity and concentration of the light, which is the beam quality, the target range, the ability to keep the laser on the target, which is the aim point, jitter control and tracking, and the atmospheric environment the laser traverses to the target. Sort of like here in rural Kentucky, it has to traverse across a rural area. Sometimes there are trees in the way. So what they do is they just take out the trees, cause the trees to accidentally fall. The branches just accidentally fall off. Trees just accidentally fall over. By accident, of course. In this last factor, the frequency of the laser and the engagement at altitude will have a significant impact on how much the atmosphere affects the laser's lethality. So I guess that would also mean like if it's raining or snowing, if there's fog, etc. Laser energy can be generated as a continuous wave or in pulses, which also influences its lethality. High-energy lasers, which is HEL, oh hell, can range from a few kilowatts to megawatts of average power. High-power microwave, or HPM, and high-power millimeter wave weapons emit beams of electromagnetic energy typically from about 10 megahertz to the 100 gigahertz frequency range. Like lasers, the HPM weapons can operate in a pulsed or continuous manner and are classified using peak or average power, respectively. Most HPM, which is high-powered microwave systems, are based on short pulses of radio frequency, RF energy, for which peak power is the important metric. The antenna gain of the weapon system is also very important, and when combined with the power of the RF source, yields the effective radiated power of the weapon, ERP, the effective radiated power of the weapon. Depending on the particulars of the weapon and how it is used, ERP levels can reach into the hundreds of gigawatts or higher. For continuous wave systems, which use high average power to affect targets, levels are typically from 50 to 100 kilowatts up to several megawatts of power. The power levels are often driven by prime power generation limitations and ERPs depending on the antenna design and aperture. Oh, and all of this is while they're using the electricity in your house, right? That's why the electric bill increases. Almost everyone has probably experienced the lethality of a microwave device when they inadvertently put a metal object into the kitchen microwave oven and watch the sparks fly. The same energy can be applied at higher powers for weapon effects. There are numerous pathways and entry points through which microwave energy can penetrate electronic systems. If the microwave energy travels through the target's own antenna, dome, or other sensor opening, then this pathway is commonly referred to as the front door, quote unquote. On the other hand, if the microwave emissions travel through cracks, seams, trailing wires like in your house, metal conduits, or seals of the target, then this pathway is called the back door, quote unquote. In the weapons version, the microwave energy affects or lethality depends on the power and range to target, but the energy beams tend to be larger and not as sensitive to jitter as the case for the high energy lasers. HPM, or high-powered microwave lethality, can be affected by atmospheric conditions as well, but to a much lesser degree than the high-power laser, hell, weapons. HPM weapons lethality is typically described in terms of either their ability to deny, degrade, damage, or destroy a target's capabilities. Isn't that nice? That's so pleasant. They do this to animals, too. They do this to your pets. Like they did to Mikey. The term deny, quote-unquote, is defined as the ability to eliminate the enemy's ability to operate without inflicting harm on the system. Isn't that amazing? A microwave weapon can achieve this result by causing malfunctions within certain relay and processing circuits within the enemy's target system. That's your brain, folks. That's your central nervous system, okay? It's causing malfunctions within the relay and processing circuits within your body, within your mind, within your central nervous system, within your organs. Yeah, isn't that nice? For example, the static and distortion that high voltage power lines have in a car radio causes no lasting damage to the radio after the car leaves the area. Thus, the quote-unquote deny capability is not permanent because the affected systems can easily be restored to their previous operational condition. Well, you know what, folks? That is absolutely false. Maybe that's after it happens once, or maybe even twice. But when they're doing it over and over again, they can destroy everything in your house that's electronic. Everything. They can destroy your small pets that weigh 8 pounds. How about your central nervous system? Okay, so your central nervous system can relay back once, twice, 5 times. But over time, it's going to be damaged. But they're not talking about that here. Oh, they're just talking about a car radio. The meaning of degrade, quote unquote, is to remove the enemy's ability to operate and potentially inflict minimal injury on the electronic hardware systems. For examples of this capability include signal overrides or insertion, power cycling, turning the power on and off at regular intervals, and causing the system to lock up. These effects are not permanent because the target system will return to normal operation within a specified time, which obviously varies according to the weapon. And in most cases, the target system must be shut off and restarted, and may require minor repairs before it can operate normally again. Do you hear that, guys? We might need some normal repairs. We might need to go to the hospital, get a reboot, right? What's happening to your feet and your ankles and your joints? Oh yeah, we could just shut it off and restart it. The idea of damage, quote-unquote, is to inflict moderate injury on enemy communications facilities, weapon systems, and subsystems hardware, and to do so in order to incapacitate the enemy for a certain time. They're talking about hardware here, okay? Hardware. What about you guys? Are you considered to be hardware? Your soft tissue? Your bones? Oh, the bones must be hardware. Your skeletal system, your spine. Examples include damaging individual components, your circuit cards. Oh, yeah, that's like your brain. Or the motherboards, like your heart. In a desktop computer, this damage may create permanent effects depending on the severity of the attack and the ability of the enemy to diagnose, replace, or repair the affected system. Oh, like the fan on my laptop. Okay, gotcha. Finally, the concept of destroy, quote-unquote, involves the ability to inflict catastrophic and permanent injury on the enemy functions and systems. In this case, the enemy would be required to totally replace entire systems, facilities, and hardware if it was to regain any degree of operational status, sort of like the hole that was burned in the face of my cat Chiclet? Or how about Mikey, who was hit with a pulsed microwave and he died within a few days? Oh, the list is endless what they've done. Oh, what about my rooster? They burned the exact same hole in his side of his wing as they did Chiclet's face. That was my Bandit. And then poof, weeks later after I posted his photo side by side with Chiclet's face, he disappeared. There goes the evidence. In addition to being able to scale effects on a target, directed energy weapons have inherent attributes that are attractive to the warfighter. These include the speed of light engagement, which makes responsiveness and tracking much faster than kinetic weapons. Deep shot magazines, which are only limited by electrical power supplied to and regenerated by the system. Stealth-like performance, which are quiet and invisible beams that are hard to detect or intercept. Precision targeting for both lethal and non-lethal applications, and low cost per shot compared to traditional munitions. Directed energy weapons have been developed and been in development for decades in our nation's research and development organizations, national laboratories, and industry. So how close are they to becoming weaponized? Do you hear that? Out of the mouth of babes. They've been in development for decades in our nation's research and development organizations, national laboratories, and industries. Are directed energy weapons still science fiction lab experiments or ready for war fighters? Oh, please. Okay. In the early versions of laser weapons, the light was generated by chemical reactions between 2000 to 05. A prototype chemical laser successfully destroyed 46 rockets, artillery shells, and mortar rounds in flight during field tests. However, these lasers were generally large and heavy. In fact, the megawatt class airborne laser development in the late 1990s and early 2000s required an entire 747 aircraft to hold the equipment. Each of the 6 laser modules were as large as small cars, and the chemical storage tanks, optical benches, control equipment, and piping packed the aircraft. But in 2010, the airborne laser shot down 2 missiles, both solid and liquid propelled, in their boost phase during flight testing, which demonstrated the lethality of the laser against missile targets. We proved that technology could be effective, but its size, weight, and power, which is SWAP, size, weight, and power, SWAP, requirements made the laser weapons impractical to field. So today, we've got solid-state electrical, including fiber and hybrid lasers, are being developed that are much lighter and smaller. The combination of technology advancement is improvement in lethality and reducing SWAP in high-energy laser technology, and the advent of threats such as hypersonic weapons, for which kinetic solutions are problematic, has resulted in high-energy lasers and directed energy weapons more generally being pursued vigorously across the services, consistent with the national defense strategy. In recent years, the U.S. Navy deployed 30 kW class solid-state laser weapon systems, LAWS. Oh, how cute, LAWS. Prototype on the Afloat Forward Staging Base, USS Ponce, P-O-N-C-E. It was capable of damaging or destroying fast attack boats, unmanned aerial vehicles, and was used for intelligence surveillance, hint, hint, for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, ISR. And when the LAWS, LAWS, was being integrated into the ship, the designers and developers envisioned that it would be used several hours a day. Oh, yeah. It turned out that during its 3-year deployment, from 2011 to 2014, it was used nearly around the clock in its ISR mode. Okay, so it went from being devised to be used several hours a day to being used 24/7. Because of the strategic imperative to protect U.S. carrier battle groups to enable us to project the power, the U.S. Navy, following this prototyping effort, with much broader Navy Laser Family of Systems, quote-unquote, or NLFOS program, which will put the Navy on a path to develop and deploy lasers ranging from low-power laser dazzlers, they're calling them dazzlers, to much higher power lasers capable of destroying anti-ship and anti-speed crude missiles. Okay, we're going to scroll down a little bit because this is a long article. The U.S. Army has also been moving out aggressively in developing and deploying directed energy weapons as part of its air and missile defense modernization priority. The Army's Rapid Capabilities and Critical Technologies Office is now asked to make DE technology available to the warfighters as quickly as possible. Building on the Army's DE efforts during the past 5 to 7 years, the Rapid Capabilities and Critical Technologies Office is committed to fielding 50 kW lasers on 4 Strikers, which are 8-wheeled armored fighting vehicles, delivering a residual combat capability at the platoon level as part of the MSHORAD mission in support of a brigade combat team. We're going to scroll down forward. A fire support commissioned officer with 4th Division Artillery, 4th Infantry Division, who participated in the testing of the 2K-watt version of the laser vehicle at Fort Skill, Oklahoma, against unmanned drones, was quoted February 28, 2018 in the Army Times article saying, quote, "It was extremely efficient. I was able to bring them down as fast as they were able to put them up," unquote. Okay, so the Army used Navy and Air Force developed high-powered microwave weapons during recent conflicts to counter improvised explosive devices, IED. Oh, that's what they're using on my property. These devices have also been demonstrated to stall or damage car, truck, or boat motors. This capability would be very useful at checkpoints or for stopping escaping vehicles. Well, you know what? I'm a little confused. They could deploy these at the border, right? Couldn't they deploy these at the border? They've been demonstrated to stall, damage car, truck, and boat motors. What about those boats that are crossing into the, those boats? How are these people getting here? They're not swimming, are they? They're getting across that desert with that gap, that dangerous gap, but then they're getting here on foot. Why can't these devices be deployed? Get rid of these people. We don't want them here. So in 2017, the Air Force Secretary and Chief of Staff signed the DE Flight Plan, outlining the path ahead for the Air Force to develop and deploy both high-energy lasers and high-power RF weapons for its aircraft. That was 2017, guys. The Air Force also recently demonstrated the ability of an HPM weapon to bring down multiple drones in testing at White Sands Missile Range in the New Mexico, according to the recent military.com article, which I'm not going to read all of that. By far, the most ambitious program underway in the DoD, Department of Defense, is being led by the Missile Defense Agency, MDA. It is developing a very high-power laser capable of being eventually deployed, eventually deployed, on a space-based platform to target missiles during their boost, ascent, mid-course phase. The laser would be megawatt class and have a range of hundreds of miles. You got that? Hundreds of miles. The first step in this endeavor is underway with funding for laser scaling and beam quality improvements for both combined fiber lasers as well as hybrid lasers such as the diode pumped alkali laser, or DPALS. These lasers, combined with significant improvement in computational power, represent dramatic advances in technology used in the airborne laser program. So the United States will soon be reaching the point where it can generate a megawatt of power in a size, weight, and volume capable of being put on a high-altitude aircraft or space-based platform. Hear that, folks? So, how can they be used? And how disruptive can they be? Okay, so some applications of directed energy weapons to solve today's challenges have already been described, such as stopping swarms of small adversary boats which have been harassing U.S. ships in international waters, or stopping vehicles carrying improvised explosive devices at safe distance from U.S. personnel. Another example is high-energy lasers could be used to protect forward and deployed troops and bases from attacks by swarms of unmanned aircraft carrying explosive devices. But let's broaden these applications somewhat. Yeah, let's broaden them. In addition to the nuclear ballistic missile threat posed by North Korea, which can be defended by the U.S. missile defense systems, there is a North Korean threat which cannot be defended against today. The 14,000 artillery and rocket launchers arrayed within striking distance of Seoul, S-E-O-U-L, I forget how to pronounce that, with its 10 million inhabitants. Oh, isn't that nice? Let's just kill 10 million people. Imagine how much the geopolitical calculus could change on the peninsula if its layered, integrated system of high-energy lasers and high-powered microwave weapons was deployed to defend against these threats. Turning to the air, the U.S. spent billions of dollars to develop and deploy stealth technology for its fighters and bombers to avoid radar detection and being targeted by surface air missiles. So guess what, folks? When you want to defend against these weapons against you, when you want to track them, when you want to prove that it's happening to you, they have inherent in their ability to avoid radar detection. So you think you're going to go get your little radar thing for $200 and be able to detect these creatures attacking you? Come on. I can't tell you, I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars in trying to protect myself against these weapons. In addition to locating them, you know, whatever device they have, they're going to destroy anyway. Okay, directed energy weapons could also play a key role in defending against what has been described as the number one threat in the United States. Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering, Dr. Mike Griffin. Hypersonic weapons. He has pressed for the development of hypersonic weapons by the United States, as well as defense against them. In a March 6, 2018 speech, he said, "I'm sorry for everybody out there who champions some other high priority, some technical thing. It's not that I disagree with those," he told the room, "but there has to be a first, and hypersonics is my first." Quote, unquote. Okay, so I guess this guy, he thinks we need to have these hypersonic weapons. Let me just scroll down a little bit here. Now here they are just talking about the deployment of these weapons against enemies attacking us. But the development of these unprecedented military capabilities, there are risks and challenges and limitations involving their cost, schedule, and performance. And of course, I'm just going to add that they're utilizing these weapons against the public. And maybe they are not specifically doing them directly, but they're getting into the hands of operatives, private contractors, and these operatives and private contractors are utilizing them directly against individuals and public. including you and I. That's why we're called targeted individuals, non-investigative subjects on the watch list. Why are we called non-investigative? Why? Because we haven't committed a crime. We're being tested upon. That's why they want to isolate us. They want to isolate us so that we don't share our stories, so that the general population doesn't see what is happening to our bodies over time. If we had friends in the community that we were actually friends with, and let's say that friend was curious, well, wait a minute, where'd you get that mark on your face? Like, you don't have a husband? How would you get that mark on your face? Did you fall on your face? Well, what about that? What about that bruise on your ankle? Like, how'd you get that bruise on your ankle? People would question, but when you're alone, when they isolate the victims, there's no one to question your appearance or how it deteriorates or changes over time. There is nobody to question the marks on your body or the marks on your animals. There's nobody to question it. Nobody cares. So I'm just going to scroll down here. So now they're just talking about how expensive it is, the cost per shot of a directed energy weapon. It could be orders of magnitude less expensive than current kinetic weapons. Consider that today the United States will launch kinetic interceptors at an incoming threat warhead that cost tens of millions of dollars, and multiple interceptors are fired for a maximum probability of success. Compare that to high-energy lasers, which could kill multiple threat missiles with a single magazine charge for a tiny fraction of the cost. In addition, when you're firing one-on-one power source, you can be changing another for near continuous operation. You hear that? Let me get to the next one here. So I'm going to show you here that this is an article, again, that was sent by the same person. Thank you, Chris, for sending this in an email. She sent me a 30-page document dated October 10, 1975. It was actually published March of 1976. It's the biological effects of electromagnetic radiation, radio waves, and microwaves, Eurasian communist countries. And I'm going to show you here. This is a military document. Okay. Well, I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to show you that it exists. From 1976, 1975, it was classified. They crossed it out. Confidential was crossed out. Not releasable to foreign nationals. They crossed that out. So it's 30 pages. And then she sent me a link to experiments on animals with radio frequency, directed energy, demonstrated causing harm or death as a result of heart or brain problems. This has been described as causing damage to soft tissues in the brain. Okay, and this was the article was 2 years old. It was in The Guardian. Microwave weapons that could cause Havana syndromes do exist, the experts say. So I'll show you the heading here in case you decide to look it up. Microwave weapons that could cause Havana syndromes exist. And let's see what else she writes here. This is a bill. The 106th Congress, second section, S2573. Let me show you. This is a Senate bill. Oops. And yes, DO is directed energy weapons, folks. Microwave and millimeter bug zappers. This is a bug zapper patent, US 6192598B as in boy 1. 2001, a bug zapper. Some of the symptoms of directed energy weapons, like while you're sleeping, the symptoms, it's a cerebral fluid leakage. Okay, a cerebral fluid leakage is when you wake up, let's say you don't have a cold, but your nose is running, your eyes are tearing. These are symptoms of cerebral fluid leakage. There is secretive White House surveillance. Targeted individuals are crimes against humanity. TIs, crimes against humanity by subhuman psychopaths. Who's the target? Me, you, everyone. They target your lands, men, intellectual property, kids, pets, animals, women, and your neuro rights. So let's see, this bill is to coordinate and facilitate the development by the Department of Defense, directed energy technology systems and weapons, and for other purposes. So actually this is a 13-page oh, how nice, 13 pages, yeah, 13-page document to coordinate and facilitate the development by the Department of Defense of directed energy weapons, systems and weapons, and for other purposes. So this is the bill, 2000, May 17, 2000, in the Senate. Here's the bill. The act may be cited as the Directed Energy Coordination and Consolidation Act of 2000. Now, guys, did you read about this in the news? I mean, of course, this is going back to 2000. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't even remotely think about these things back then. But have you heard this? Has anybody discussed this act, Directed Energy Coordination and Consolidation Act of 2000? It's to coordinate and facilitate the development of directed energy technology systems and weapons. Congress, okay? This is Congress. Congress makes the following findings. 1. Directed energy systems are available to address many current challenges with respect to military weapons, including offensive weapons and defensive weapons. 2. Directed energy weapons offer the potential to maintain an asymmetrical technology edge over adversaries of the United States for the foreseeable future. Number 3. Oh, yeah, of course. Here we go. It is in the national interest that funding for directed energy science and technology programs be increased in order to support priority acquisition programs and to develop new technologies for future applications. Number 4. Congress knows all about this. It is in the national interest that the level of funding for directed energy science and technology programs corresponds to the level of funding for such large-scale demonstration programs in order to ensure the growth of directed energy science and technology programs and to ensure the successful development of other weapon systems utilizing directed energy systems. 5. The industrial base for several critical directed energy technologies is in fragile condition and lacks appropriate incentives to make the large-scale investments that are necessary to address current and anticipated Department of Defense requirements for such technologies. And number 6, it's in the national interest that the Department of Defense utilize and expand upon directed energy research, blah, 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 blah. 7, it is increasingly difficult for the federal government to recruit and retain personnel with skills critical to directed energy technology. Number 8, the implementation of the recommendations contained in the High Energy Laser Master Plan of the Department of Defense will address these critical issues and in the national interest. Number 9, the implementation of the management of these structures outlined in the master plan will facilitate the development of revolutionary capabilities in directed energy weapons by achieving a coordinated and focused investment strategy under a new management structure featuring a joint technology office with senior level oversight provided by a technology council and board of directors. Oh, were you aware of that? Are you aware that there is a joint technology office with senior level oversight provided by a technology council and board of directors to oversee the master plan implemented by the DoD on the development of directed energy weapons? Well, anyway, folks, let's just say that we know that these are not just being placed on aircraft to float in the sky or against the enemies of other countries, the alleged enemies, or the ones that we created, right? These are being deployed against the domestic ones, you know, the ones on the list, the ones that they're testing the weapons on, like you and I and all other targeted people, and about other people that are just not aware that they're targeted yet, like the rest of the American population. So, anyway, who's a target? You, me, everyone. And this went on a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I hope everybody's doing well. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. Please hit the thumbs up. Signing off for now. Got to get some work done. We've got a lot of trees that fell down, branches that strategically placed around the property. I hope everybody's doing well. Signing off for now.